How to overcome fear and stoicism. Have you ever stood on the edge of a cliff and your heart raced as you looked over the edge? This is fear. It's visceral, real, and it often stops us. But what if I told you that you could harness, channel, and overcome that fear to overcome your biggest challenges? In this video, you'll learn exactly that. In the end, you will not only understand fear, but you will also have stoic and practical techniques to master it and transform your life in ways that you could never have imagined. How to overcome any fear. Number 1. From the lost voices of Stoicism. Let's go off the beaten path and into the less explored alleys of Stoicism. In addition to famous names like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, there were also other Stoic philosophers whose teachings are rarely highlighted but are incredibly relevant, particularly in our modern context of understanding and managing fear. One of these figures is Muse. Rufus von Sonia, often called the Roman Socrates. Rufus was the teacher of Epictetus in and believed in that philosophy, was not only for intellectual debate, but also for living a practical and virtuous life. He emphasized the importance of enduring hardship, not as mere acceptance, but as a way to strengthen one's character. Rufus taught that true courage lies not in not being afraid, but in facing it with resilience and clear purpose. This perspective is crucial in our discussion of fear. It is not about eradicating fear, but about understanding its role in leading us to greater strength and ethical resilience. Then, there is Hierarchies, another lesser-known Stoic, who introduced the concept of oikos, which roughly translates to appropriation or intimacy. This idea is about gradually expanding our circle of interests beyond ourselves, including family, friends, community, and ultimately all of humanity. Hierarchies suggest that this expanding circle helps us overcome personal fears by fostering a sense of unity and belonging when we are connected to others and concerned for their well-being. Our personal fears often diminish in the face of collective strength and shared purpose. These Stoic thinkers offer us a rich tapestry of wisdom about how to deal with fear. His teachings encourage us to view fear not as a solitary struggle, but as a shared human experience that can be alleviated through communal resilience and ethical living. This perspective is not just about personal growth. It's about growing together as a society in our collective ability to confront and overcome fears as we move forward. Remember that these teachings are not just historical anecdotes. They are timeless wisdom that can be applied in even the most modern contexts and provides us with tools to navigate the complexities of fear in our lives. Let us take these ideas with us as we move forward and explore how these ancient philosophies can be adapted to our modern challenges. Number 2. Understanding fear. Let's first look at what fear really means from a Stoic perspective. Stoicism, a philosophy born in the heart of ancient Greece, teaches us that fear is not just a feeling. It is a response to our thoughts about a perceived threat. The key word here is perceive. This implies that fear is essentially a product of our own minds. The Stoics believe that we can overcome them if we understand the nature of our thoughts and how they lead to emotions such as fear. It's like being the captain of your own ship on a stormy sea. Yes, the waves are high and intimidating, but you have the power to guide them. Now let's look at the first strategy for overcoming fear. The Stoics advised us to practice intent, jurisdiction, or the intent to do evil. This may seem daunting, but it is essentially a mental rehearsal of worst-case scenarios. Imagine what will happen, what you fear most. Feel this fear. Live it in your head. Then calmly and rationally begin to analyze it. What is the worst possible outcome? What is the probability of this happening? And when it happens, how can you mitigate it or learn from it? This exercise is not about dwelling on the negative. It's about reducing the unknowns that often fuel our fear. Remember that fear often stems from a lack of understanding. We face it directly in our thoughts. We take the first step to lessen his power over us. The Stoics did not try to eliminate emotions. It was about understanding them and enabling them to live more fulfilling lives. As we advance these strategies, remember this: fear is not your enemy, it is a sign. And like any signal, it can be managed and used for growth. In the next chapter, we will examine some of the lost voices of Stoicism and how their unique perspectives can further help us in our quest to overcome fear. Number 3. The misunderstood virtue. Let's move forward. Let's explore Appalachia, an often misunderstood concept in Stoic philosophy. Contrary to popular belief, apathy does not refer to a lack of emotion, but rather to a state of serenity and peace achieved through the control of irrational passions, including excessive fear. It's about achieving a balanced state of mind in which emotions are present but do not dominate our rational thinking. On our way to overcoming fear. Understanding apathy is crucial. It teaches us that the goal is not to not be afraid, but to prevent fear from overwhelming our rational judgment. This Stoic virtue consists in cultivating inner peace and clarity, which enables us to face the uncertainties and fears of life with a calm mind. It's about recognizing our fears, understanding them, and then navigating through them with rational beauty and wisdom. So apathy is not about emotional repression. It's about emotional regulation and balance. It encourages us to recognize our fears not as enemies, but as natural human reactions, which, if properly managed, can lead to greater wisdom and inner peace. This Stoic principle teaches us the art of maintaining our inner harmony in the face of external chaos, enabling us to respond to life's challenges, including our fears, in a more measured and thoughtful manner. By practicing apathy, we learn to distinguish what is under our control and what is not. This insight allows us to focus our energy on our reactions and attitudes toward the things that scare us. Instead of trying to control the uncontrollable, through mastery of this virtue, we equip ourselves with a powerful tool to not only face our fears, but also change our response to them. Foster a sense of inner peace and resilience that guides us through life's turbulent journey as we explore the realms of Stoic philosophy together. Remember that your involvement and participation drives this community forward. If these new teachings are helpful, be sure to note any similarities. Subscribe to. More importantly, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. Let us question not only our fears, but also the way we face them. Let your voice be heard for your benefit and the strength of our community. Number 4. The Rebellious Stoic. In this study of Stoicism and fear, we turn to the concept of the Rebellious Stoic. This idea revolves around the idea that sometimes, to truly master fear, you have to break free from conventional wisdom and forge a unique path. This chapter is about embracing the rebellious spirit of Stoicism by challenging not only our fears, but also the ways in which we have learned to face them. Being a Stoic rebel means having the courage to challenge the norms, including those of Stoicism itself. It's about finding your own truth in the teachings and adapting them to your personal journey. For example, while Stoicism teaches the virtue of moderation, a Stoic rebel might push the boundaries of this principle to explore new areas of growth and self-discovery. This can mean consciously putting yourself into challenging situations in order to develop resilience and overcome fears that were previously considered insurmountable. This approach also involves redefining our relationship with fear. Traditionally, fear is seen as something that must be overcome or suppressed. However, the Stoic rebel perspective encourages us to face our fears more dynamically. We see them as important components of our personal development. This could mean embracing fear as a motivator, teacher, or even a companion on our journey to self-improvement. The Stoic rebel does not blindly accept the teachings, but rather uses them as a starting point for personal exploration and development. By adopting this way of thinking, we empower ourselves not only to follow the paths set by others, but also to shape our own. Don't use fear as an obstacle, but rather as a guiding force for greater self-knowledge and fulfillment. By embracing the Stoic rebel within us, we open ourselves to a world of possibility, where fear loses its power to paralyze and instead becomes a catalyst for growth, change, and personal revolution. This path is not just about dealing with fear, but about transforming it into a force that leads us to a life full of authenticity, courage, and the tireless pursuit of personal excellence. Number 5. Innovative resilience. In this time of rapid change and uncertainty, it is important to adapt ancient wisdom to our modern context. This chapter focuses on how adaptations of Stoic practices can be particularly effective in today's world, particularly in overcoming fear. Such adaptation is the exercise of digital Stoicism at a time when our lives are increasingly intertwined with technology. Applying Stoic principles to our digital habits can be transformative. This includes being aware of how our interactions with technology affect our emotions, particularly our anxiety. For example, the constant barrage of alarming news can increase our feelings of anxiety. By practicing digital Stoicism, we can learn to consume information wisely, ensuring that our use of technology is consistent with our pursuit of inner peace and rational thought. Another modern adaptation is the application of Stoicism in our approach to work and professional challenges. In a world where career instability can be a major source of anxiety, Stoic principles such as focusing on what we can control with our effort and attitude, rather than obsessing about results, can be incredibly liberating. This change in perspective transforms fear from a paralyzing force into a motivating force that guides us to act purposefully and resiliently in our professional endeavors. Furthermore, integrating Stoicism with contemporary mindfulness practices provides a powerful tool for managing anxiety, while mindfulness emphasizes awareness and acceptance of the present moment. Stoic attention expands this to include rational evaluation and action. This fusion enables us not only to become aware of our fears, but also to critically evaluate them and respond with justified actions. These modern adaptations of Stoic practices provide us with practical tools to meet the unique challenges of our time. By applying these timeless principles to our lives today, we can develop a form of resilience that is innovative, relevant, and deeply empowering. In this way, we not only manage our fears more effectively, but also pave the way to a more balanced and fulfilling life. In this ever-evolving world. Number 6. Embracing life's contradictions. As we delve into the realm of Stoicism, it becomes apparent that this ancient philosophy is full of paradoxes. One of the most fascinating aspects of Stoicism is its acceptance of life's inherent contradictions. This chapter focuses on how these paradoxes can be a powerful tool for understanding and overcoming fear. A central paradox of Stoicism is the idea of finding freedom through discipline. While it may seem that strict self-discipline would limit freedom, the Stoics argue otherwise. They believed that by exercising discipline, particularly over our thoughts and reactions, we free ourselves from the irrational fears and desires that often hold us captive. This disciplined approach to life allows us to confront fears not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities to exercise rational control and judgment. Another fascinating Stoic paradox is the concept of finding strength in vulnerability. The Stoics teach that recognizing and accepting our vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, but a source of strength. By recognizing and harnessing our fears and vulnerabilities, we open ourselves to growth and learning. This acceptance allows us to face fear not with denial or bravery, but with honesty and courage, transform our vulnerabilities into catalysts for personal empowerment. This chapter challenges us to rethink the way we deal with fear and the challenges of life. Rather than viewing them through a conventional lens, we are encouraged to embrace the paradox of Stoicism's musical wisdom. This means accepting that true wisdom often comes from recognizing our limitations, that true freedom lies in self-discipline, and that strength often comes from our vulnerabilities. By accepting these paradoxes, we arm ourselves with a more nuanced and deeper understanding of how to deal with life's uncertainties. It opens a path where fear is not an obstacle, but a guide that leads us to greater self-confidence, resilience, and ultimately, a more fulfilling life. When these paradoxes are accepted, they enable us to transform our fears from shadows that haunt us into lights that guide us. Number 7. Contrarian Courage. In this chapter, we deal with the less conventional aspects, and in contrast to Stoicism, a perspective that often remains unexplored. Stoicism is not just about enduring difficulties and suppressing feelings. It also encourages us to question and challenge the status quo, including our own deeply held beliefs and fears. Let's take a moment to think about the concept of Stoic acceptance. Typically, Stoicism is viewed as a philosophy that promotes acceptance of what we cannot change. However, a more contrary view would suggest that this acceptance is not passive. It is an active engagement with reality where challenging our fears becomes a path to personal growth. This approach leads us to the question, do we accept our fears because we believe they are unchangeable, or are we simply afraid to confront and challenge them? Another contrasting perspective within Stoicism is the idea of emotional engagement. While traditional Stoicism advocates the control of emotions, a more nuanced interpretation suggests that we must engage with our emotions, understand them, and then use that understanding to implement change. It's not about suppressing fear, but about recognizing its presence, understanding its roots, and then using that awareness to transform fear into a driving force for positive action. This approach to Stoicism encourages us to see fear not as a barrier, but as a catalyst for change and a challenge to our perceived limitations. It's about harnessing the energy of our fears and redirecting it towards personal growth and resilience. By adopting this attitude, we enable ourselves not only to endure the challenges of life, but to actively deal with them, using our fears as a springboard to reach new heights of personal development. By embracing these less conventional aspects of Stoicism, we open ourselves to a broader range of strategies for dealing with fear that are more dynamic, more interactive, and ultimately more empowering. This perspective gives us the courage not only to face our fears, but also to question and redefine them, transforming what was once a source of concern into a source of strength and self-confidence. Number 8. Growing Beyond. In this final section, we'll focus on and integrate everything we've learned into a cohesive, long-term approach to overcoming fear. Apply Stoic principles. It's about the transition from theory to practice, from understanding to life. The goal is to create a sustainable framework in our lives in which Stoicism is not just an idea, but a daily practice that helps us overcome our fears. The first step in this integration is to establish a routine of reflection, whether through journaling, meditation, or simply quiet contemplation. Regular reflection allows us to continually evaluate and align our thoughts and actions with Stoic principles. This practice helps us recognize patterns in our fears and our reactions to them, allowing us to apply Stoic wisdom more effectively. Next, we need to develop a mindset of continuous learning and adaptation. Stoicism is, at its core, about growth and resilience as we face various challenges and fears in life. It is critical to adapt these teachings to our particular circumstances. This might mean changing some practices or even creating new ones that better fit our individual journeys. Another important aspect is the practice of social engagement and mentoring. Sharing our experiences, learning from others, and guiding those who are on similar paths can greatly improve our understanding and application of Stoicism. This community aspect provides support, different perspectives, and a sense of belonging, all of which are crucial to overcoming fears and achieving personal growth. Ultimately, it's about commitment. Long-term implementation of Stoic principles requires dedication and perseverance. It is a journey of self-improvement and learning that lasts a lifetime. There will be setbacks and challenges, but the true essence of Stoicism lies in persevering through these trials and using our fears not as obstacles, but as stepping stones to greater wisdom and inner peace. By adopting these practices, we do more than just temporarily overcome our fears. We build a foundation of strength, resilience, and wisdom that will sustain us throughout our lives. Stoicism then becomes more than just a philosophy. It becomes a way of life, a constant companion that supports us in mastering the complexities of life with courage, dignity, and calm. In the end, it is important to remember that the path of Stoicism is not a destination, but a continuous journey of oneself. Discovery and mastery of fear. Remember, your journey with Stoicism does not end here. It is a daily practice. Embrace these teachings, experiment with them in your life, and watch the transformation unfold. And if you embark on this path, remember that you are not alone. You are part of a community that values wisdom, courage, and self-control. Share your journey, learn from others, and grow together. So take these lessons, apply them, and watch as you overcome your fears. Free yourself from the chains that hold you back. The power to change, grow, and overcome your fears lies within you. Guided by the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, please like, share, and subscribe so that others can learn the Stoic wisdom of the ages. Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's foster a community of learning and growth.